All right, what is going on, you guys? It is Isaac. We are back in the bedroom with another vaccine video, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about something that's been grinding my gears, and that is that apparently 20 to 40% of the doses in Pfizer's new life-saving COVID vaccine may have been going to waste because no one bothered to read the monograph critically, and no one bothered to ask Pfizer for clarification about a discrepancy before the vaccine was shipped. So very preventable mistake resulting in lost doses. That's why I'm so angry, and this is what I'm going to be talking about. I talked about this issue in my monograph video earlier that I posted a couple weeks ago. Blah, blah, blah. So after it's diluted, the vial contains 5 doses of 0.3 milliliters. And this is really interesting because over here, it says that you're mixing in 1.8 mils of saline into a vial that already has powder in it. So I'd imagine you'd get at least 2 mils of solution after you're done diluting, but you only have 5 doses of 0.3 mils, so you're only withdrawing 1.5 mils in total, so you're gonna have like 0.5 mils left over. So that's interesting. I wonder why you're gonna have that left over, but anyways, that's what they want you to do, and that's what they want you to do. So healthcare personnel, they were shocked to discover earlier this week after receiving Pfizer's vaccine bottles marked for 5 doses. They gave out these 5 doses and they saw that there were extra doses remaining inside the vial.
We learned something surprising yesterday, Nisa. The FDA said that the Pfizer vaccine may contain usable extra doses. Each vial is meant to vaccinate 5 people, but some of those supplies distributed in the U.S. can hold enough for 6 or 7 doses. What was it like for you when you learned that news? I mean, it certainly surprised a lot of people, I think.
You know, I follow the science, right? I would depend on, I would say 5, and if we get 6 out of it, that's great. Again, it's another early Christmas gift for us. If we can get one more employee vaccinated, one more employee through the first of these 2 vaccinations.
And what did a lot of people do? Well, they followed the instructions on the vial and they discarded these extra doses. This is very unfortunate because according to Pfizer, these extra doses are 100% usable and will provide the exact same protection from the virus as the original vaccine because it literally is the original vaccine. And I'm so disappointed about the healthcare officials that did not ask Pfizer about this discrepancy earlier. They're potentially wasting 20 to 40% of the doses because no one read the monograph critically and no one asked Pfizer for clarification. Like I talked about in my monograph video, when it comes to administering this vaccine, you're mixing 1.8 mils of water with powder in a vial. You're inverting the vial 10 times so that the concentration of active ingredient within the solution is homogeneous. It's the same. And it does not take a rocket scientist to realize that if you're mixing 1.8 mils of water into powder, you're going to have at least 1.8 mils of solution. 1.8 mils of solution divided by 0.3 mils per dose equates to 6 doses. So after providing those 5 doses that the vial is marked for, you're going to have at least 1 extra dose. And these doses were discarded apparently because people were just listening to the instructions from the vial. No officials decided to consult Pfizer about this discrepancy before that was very apparent from the monograph, and they didn't ask Pfizer about it before the vaccine was shipped. So as a result, the clinicians were not, and I feel like the clinicians should also be reading the monograph and should also have asked Pfizer about this discrepancy. So lots of blame to go around here, in my opinion. I'm just going to talk about one of the arguments for this extra liquid. One of the arguments that Pfizer makes and that some people make is that the extra liquid was provided not to provide extra doses, but simply to give you a buffer for lost liquid in the syringe and lost liquid from spills and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you about why I think this argument isn't very strong, and that is because of how frugal we are when it comes to giving out flu shots. So when we give out flu shots, we're generally given these multi-dose vials that have 10 shots inside of them. These vials are filled with exactly 5 milliliters of liquid. Each dose is 0.5 mils of liquid. So you do the math, 5 mils divided by 0.5 mils gives you 10 doses. So these are 10 dose multi-dose vials filled exactly with the amount of liquid that you'd need to give 10 doses. And you can bet that we are giving out 10 doses every time. If you give 9 doses, if you give 8 doses, someone is going to talk to you. The pharmacy manager is going to talk to you about what happened to these lost doses. And yeah, so we're really frugal with these flu shot vaccines. I don't know why we're not frugal with the COVID vaccine. I feel like we should be, especially given how important it is right now, how many people are being infected with the virus, all the things that are being shut down, all the people that are dying, et cetera, et cetera. We have a vaccine. It has a God-given 95% efficacy, crazy efficacy. This is unimaginable efficacy. We had the best luck when it came to efficacy, when it came to this COVID vaccine. You compare it to the flu shot, which might have a 60 or 70% efficacy in a good year, which we've had decades to work on. And this COVID vaccine has 95% efficacy. So really, really good efficacy. And people are throwing out some of the doses, which is unfortunate. So I want to talk a little bit more about how you could be even more frugal with this vaccine. And this is going against what the manufacturer is recommending. So against what Pfizer is recommending. So don't do this. And I don't think anyone who's giving out this COVID vaccine is watching these videos, so it probably won't matter. But I think because in the instructions, you're mixing 1.8 mils of the solution with powder, so you're going to get more than 1.8 mils of solution, probably closer to 2 mils, 2.1 mils. You're going to have some extra shots, is what I'm saying. So even if you were to give 8 doses, you're still going to have some extra liquid left over. But what happens if you have some extra liquid left over, but it's not enough to create a full dose? I feel like you should be able to mix doses between vials to make a full dose. That's my feeling. The argument for why you shouldn't do that is presented by Pfizer is that it's because it doesn't have preservatives. And to me, this does not make sense. If you are, given that you are mixing the liquid within the 6 hours at room temperature that this diluted solution is good for, apparently, I don't see why not having preservatives would impact the safety and efficacy of the vaccine when it comes to mixing doses together. Perhaps you can make the argument that transporting the liquid between vials, more steps when it comes to syringing the liquid and whatnot gives more opportunities for contamination. And because the vaccine does not have preservatives, there's a greater risk for contamination. But because of how important this vaccine is, I would say, you should just use the aseptic technique, be liberal with the alcohol, do it under a fume hood, do whatever you can to minimize contamination. But one extra dose is definitely going to make a difference in my opinion. But, the manufacturer says you can't do that, so don't do that. And what else did I want to talk about? So I also wanted to talk about one of the other arguments. Let's talk about if someone was underdosed. So let's say there was a pharmacist or a nurse who was trying to be really frugal with the vaccines, who were just trying to squeeze out a 7th dose from a vial and only gave someone 0.2 mils. And this probably wouldn't happen in real life. Generally, underdosing is not this bad. It wouldn't be like 2.2 mils instead of 0.3 mils. It would more so be like 0.25 mils. Even if the clinician didn't care about their job or public health, they probably wouldn't underdose someone by this much. So let's say theoretically someone got a 0.2 dose. How efficacious would a 0.2 dose be when it comes to immunity and providing protection? Let's talk about that now. And I'm going to pull up some data. This was from a phase 1 clinical trial that was done on BNT 162b2. And for people listening who have a life and are not major science nerds, these graphs, these bars, these are just estimates of how well the vaccine will protect you from the virus. So if you have more antibodies, if you have a better 50% neutralization titer, which means that your blood is better able to inhibit viral replication in a petri dish or something like that, that is probably going to translate to better immunity in the real world, but the probably is there. So we don't know for sure if these numbers are going to equate to how well it'll protect you from getting the virus, but it is somewhat of a measure. It is a pretty good measure of immunity. And we have these data here that you can see over here. And what they found, you can see over here that in young people, they actually had better antibody responses and 50% neutralization titers in the 20 microgram group compared to the 30 microgram group. And you can see these better titers on day 21 and I think it's 35 on day, what do we see over here? Better antibody responses, day 28, day 35. Looks like they have better antibody responses, or about the same antibody response, I would say. And similar 50% neutralization titer responses on day 28 and 35 as well, between these two doses with the younger cohort. So possibly, if you were to extrapolate this data into real world data, you could say that it probably wouldn't matter that much if you were to underdose someone from the younger cohort. Again, you wouldn't know for sure if this were the case, but it's possible. It's possible, very possible. But if you look at the older adults, you can see the higher dose is definitely warranted. It looks like it produces significantly better results, both in terms of antibody titers and 50% neutralization titers. So the higher dose is definitely important in the older people. But again, like I said, it probably wouldn't matter if you underdosed someone in the younger cohort. You could make an argument for, if you had to underdose someone in the younger cohort, it doesn't look like it makes much of a difference. Okay, so that is all I want to talk to you guys about today. I think it's silly that no one read the monograph critically, that no one asked Pfizer whether or not we could use these extra doses, and you know, I'm just some random guy on YouTube. I just make YouTube videos. I'm not a medical person per se, or medical official, or big qualified special medical person. And I kind of realized there's a discrepancy there just based on reading this 10-page document. And I feel like if you're a medical person or public health person involved in distributing or administering this brand new, very, very important life-saving vaccine, the least you could do would be to read the product monograph. That's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. And I wanted to answer one question before I let you guys go, posed by my friend Chris Wong. And Chris Wong writes, for your next video, can you discuss how you keep your t-shirts from ripping? Thank you for your question, Chris. For those of you who don't know, these t-shirts are extra medium in size. They have been carefully crafted and optimized to fit my physique. And you can see over here, they're tight in the chest and shoulders, and they're narrow at the waist, just like any classic t-shirt should be. And during this quarantine, I've been taking inspiration from Julian from the Trailer Park Boys when it comes to style. I think that Julian's look is timeless. I think that his look is stylish, sleek, and sophisticated. So I went ahead and bought a bunch of these extra medium black t-shirts, and I am going to keep wearing these black t-shirts for the foreseeable future. And yeah, so that's all I have to say. If you guys don't know Chris is a doctor of pharmacy. Him and his partner Walter run a pharmacy called Victoria Park Pharmacy that is located on Victoria Park, just north of St. Clair in Toronto. I did a placement there for my school. Great pharmacy, great customer service. They have a 5-star review on Google Reviews. And Chris pretty much knows everything there is to know about cardiovascular drugs and antibiotics. And unlike some of the busier drugstores, Chris and Walter have time to go through people's medications thoroughly, do follow-ups, and they really, really, really do care about their patients. When I was working there, it was pretty apparent. They do delivery, blister packaging, methadone, you name it, they do it. So if you guys know anyone looking for great pharmaceutical care, check out Victoria Park Pharmacy. I highly encourage you guys to check them out. Anyways, that's all I have to say today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.